Week 15 in the NFL season is approaching to tomorrow. The majority of the slate of games will be played. They already had a game on Thursday.
Blowout.
Yeah.
Blowout defeat San Diego over San Francisco because nobody saw that coming.
And San Fran could still be a game out of first after this week.
Because they happen to be in the NFC West.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing about being in the NFC West is that you're never out of the playoffs.
Yeah. So let's just run through the games real quick. We'll give our picks, talk about what we think is going to go happen.
Well, we got New Orleans going into Baltimore this week.
Great matchup.
Saints and the Ravens. Yeah, this should be really good. I've got Baltimore.
Well, I'm going to go Saints.
Yeah.
I think the Saints are going to exploit the Ravens' pass defense. They do not have a good pass defense this year.
They've got Ed Reed.
They've got Ed Reed, but they haven't been playing that well against the pass this season. So
Yeah.
I think...
Breeze doesn't throw that many picks.
Yeah.
Pierre Thomas is back in limited form, so that's good for the Saints. But it's home game, it's at Baltimore, and the Steelers have been winning. And that's
the Ravens got to keep
bad for the Ravens because they need to win this game. And usually when the Ravens need to win a game at home, they win the game.
That's true.
They didn't need to win the game at Pittsburgh the other day.
Yeah.
Or a couple weeks ago. They didn't need to win that. Pittsburgh needed to win that, and they won.
Yeah.
But I think Baltimore. I think Baltimore takes one. Flacco, has been finding Mason again. He's been finding Bolden
Found him
again.
twice last week.
I'm sure you were happy about it. Let's see. We also have in the who gives a shit game of the week that we're probably going to get here in Tucson, and it'll be a whole lot of fun. Arizona Cardinals go to the Carolina Panthers.
They meet every season. It's really unfortunate that these two teams have a faux rivalry going. Arizona
It's going to be the battle of Jimmy Clausen versus John Skelton.
This one's in Carolina.
Yeah.
So Carolina's going to win. Arizona does not like traveling to the East Coast. So
fair enough. I honestly can't remember who I originally picked for this one, but I don't really care.
It doesn't matter. Carolina lost at home last week.
I think Arizona wins, though. Frankly, I do think Arizona wins because I do. Because
Arizona, a game out of first.
Arizona needs to win. Arizona can still get a playoff spot if they win out and get some help. I mean, Carolina has no hope. So
I will say this: John Skelton does have an arm. He can really throw that ball. He looked pretty accurate too. He overthrew his receivers, and that's what you're going to get out of a young quarterback. But both teams have that situation this week. So
that's true.
But I'm going to roll Carolina.
Fair enough. Cleveland's going to Cincinnati in battle of the bottom of the AFC North.
A couple of years ago, these teams put up like 100 points against each other.
Yeah.
But this time around, I think it's going to be like a 19-7 affair.
Are the Bengals going to continue their 11-game losing streak?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I think I agree with you. Peyton Hillis had an off week last week. That's not going to happen again. I don't know who's quarterback. Is it still going to be Delhomme or if Colt McCoy is any better? Or
I believe McCoy is starting.
Well, if McCoy is starting, then they're definitely going to win.
But it doesn't matter. The Bengals are so bad. They're an absolute mess. They don't know what they want to do on offense.
Well, they're as everyone kind of expected, the personalities on their team have totally been the focus, and as a result, their gameplay is
their defense has imploded. They have no deep. Last year they had a solid defense. This year they just don't play deep.
And Palmer hasn't been playing well either.
No,
not terribly. So, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised. This hasn't been reported. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if Ocho Cinco is upset about Tio getting more attention and doing better on the field.
Well, they're friends. They have that TV show together.
Sure, yeah. Well, of course they're friends. They have a TV show together. We're friends. We have a TV show. Let's see. Washington goes to the Cowboys.
The big storyline here is who's the third string quarterback for the Redskins this week.
His name is Donovan or something.
Yeah. I don't understand why you would bench McNabb before playing the Cowboys, where McNabb has actually been quite successful against the Cowboys in previous seasons.
I mean, my question is, if you're going to bench McNabb, why didn't you bench him already? And now
why do you do it when you benched him mid-game 4 weeks ago?
Well, 2 minutes before the game ended, but yeah, and
still, that was apparently a benching. Why didn't you just leave it that way if you were that upset with him?
As a Chicago fan, I would like to send a message to the Washington Redskins. Rex Grossman will not help you. He doesn't help anybody. He is not a starting quality quarterback.
I actually predict Rex to sleep in late, and McNabb will actually get his starting job back.
No, he's third string. So Bell will get the starting.
I thought it was something else.
I think it's Bell.
I don't think it's Bell.
I'm pretty sure it's Bell.
Who
but
cares? They're
whatever.
going to lose.
They are going to lose. The Cowboys are going to beat
The
them.
Cowboys with John
For all you
Kitna
know.
are going to win again.
Yeah, like it matters. Jacksonville is going to
Is going to win the division on Sunday as they knock off the Colts in Indy, and Peyton Manning is embarrassed again. That's what's going to happen.
Oh well,
Enough said.
you know what? It's a possibility. Jacksonville beat the Raiders last week, as I famously said they needed to do. They did.
They did it in decisive fashion with a brilliant running play by Maurice Jones-Drew.
It's the freaking Jaguars, man. They're, you know.
Start learning their names, kids, because they're going to get a home game in the postseason,
I mean, if they can,
which won't sell out, by the
if
way.
they can beat the Colts, Jacksonville beat the Colts earlier in the season. Granted, it wasn't Jacksonville, but they beat the Colts when the Colts had Dallas Clark and Austin Collie and Joseph Adai.
And a healthy Reggie Wayne.
Yes, none of those things are
Healthy
happening.
Pierre Garcon.
None of those things are happening this week. So I don't think there's any way with Manning. And okay, he kind of he did not throw a pick last week, but he was facing the Titans. for
This
God's
is
sake.
the first time that we've seen Peyton Manning with chinks in the armor.
Yeah.
We've always thought that Manning would just will his team to victory, but this season he hasn't been able to do that. Instead, he's willed the opposing
He did
defense
for a
into the
while.
end zone. Is
He
what
did-
he's done.
He did for a while. He was willing his team on for some time, but he can't do everything. The man
and he's
can't do
proven
everything.
in the games that were close that they lost, he willed them to those close losses, but he put the opponent in the end zone, and he did that too many times.
Yeah. And
So you've
frankly,
gotta question that.
Jacksonville's defense is underrated. I think they're better than
They're
they get
terrible
credit for.
against the pass, though. They gave up over 300 yards passing to Jason Campbell last week. They're
Mm.
probably going to do that and then some this week.
Yeah.
But Jacksonville has proven in past seasons and this year that they are willing to go blow for blow with a team and try to outscore you.
Yeah. This will be a
They've
high
done
scoring
it
game.
against the Colts before. They've won
They did
in
against the
Indy
Raiders,
before.
yeah.
So it can
Josh
happen.
Scobie, I hope your leg is warmed up because you will be needed
And Scobie has beaten the Colts in Indianapolis
earlier
before.
this season. And he beat him in Jacksonville earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville takes the division tomorrow, which is just awesome. Frankly, I love the fact that the Colts aren't gonna. Anyway,
Let's invite some new friends to the party.
Yeah,
That's
seriously.
what's happening here.
Buffalo goes to Miami, so they can get killed, or possibly will they? I
This
don't
will
know.
be a good old fashioned 8-2 football game.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
Miami wins this one.
Miami is suddenly in a position where they're like, "Wow, we beat the Jets, and the Jets lost to New England.
and if Miami
We
wins
might
out,
make the
they
playoffs.
might win the playoffs.
So
So
I think it was an afterthought to them. Probably like it was an afterthought to me. Like, oh yeah, Miami. Well, I forgot about them because the AFC East was all about the Jets and the Patriots, and suddenly
Yeah.
the Jets are going downhill fast.
well, and you've got this Buffalo team that was going blow for blow with teams and losing in overtime week after
Steelers,
week,
yeah.
and should have beaten the Steelers, but
Should have
instead
beaten the Steelers.
that dropped touchdown pass has led to a complete stall out on offense. They put up nothing but
And
sour numbers on
according to
offense.
Stevie Johnson, it's God's fault.
Well,
But
once
we
you
won't
start
go into
blaming
that.
God, things usually start going wrong for a reason after that. So
Yeah, I don't think there's any way Buffalo wins this game.
there's no way in hell Tim Tebow would lose to Stevie Johnson in the game. That's for sure.
Okay. Philadelphia Eagles go to the Giants for the rematch.
This is a very important game
two
for like 6 or 8 NFC teams.
8 and 5 teams.
Yeah, the NFC East crown could very much be decided in this one.
Yeah.
And then the wild card has huge implications for whoever loses this game. So,
Yeah.
huge game. I think the Eagles are going to come away victorious, though. I still doubt the Giants as a real contender.
I'm calling the Giants for this one. I think they, sweeps are rare in the NFL.
Yes.
And I think that being in the Meadowlands with last time the Eagles caught the Giants during the kind of their yearly slump.
Yeah.
But what happened this time around is that instead of crashing and burning like the Giants tend to do when they start losing games, they came back and they started winning again. And
yeah,
it really-
and it totally surprised me and caught me off guard. 'Cause
Yeah.
What they've done is they've made big plays when they've needed them to win ball games, and that's something the Giants haven't done the past 3-4 years in the last 8 games of the
And
season.
the great thing about it is Eli Manning has not been playing terribly well, but he doesn't
No.
need to because Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs have found their rhythm as a tandem running team, and they've just been smashing people.
I feel like the
Hakeem Nicks is
Eagles.
coming back.
I feel like the Eagles are going to have too many big plays in
He
this
is back.
one.
He was
The
back
Giants'
last week.
defense is good, but they've also had some really bad performances. And I think the Eagles could exploit that this week. So I'm
It's
going to go with the
possible.
Eagles.
I mean, it depends. It depends if. Fair enough. It all depends. I mean,
Yeah.
because last week even the Eagles' passing game didn't look that great against whatever team they were playing last week.
Can't remember who it was.
Anyway, we got Kansas City going to St. Louis. Kansas City. This is a game.
The
that
Battle of Missouri.
Yeah, they're in completely different conferences, but the Battle of Missouri.
These are two starved football crowds, though. These two teams have very devoted fan bases who want to see these teams succeed. And both teams are in a position to really succeed with a win. This is a must-win for both teams.
If Castle plays, Kansas City will win.
Yeah, if he doesn't, St. Louis
If he
wins.
doesn't, St. Louis wins. That's just how I see it. And
And St. Louis could really take control of the NFC West as... it's not really saying much, but they could take control of the West with a victory.
and Kansas City needs to win to stay a game ahead of San Diego. So.
And San Diego's coming strong. So.
Being embarrassed.
Detroit and Tampa Bay.
Detroit, Tampa Bay. Yes, that's totally.
Detroit's going to lose. Tampa's going to win. Tampa's going to miraculously stay alive in this wild card chase yet again, and they're going to actually make their coach look like a genius as they get one win closer to 10
Unless Detroit
victories.
can hurt their quarterback with a concussion, and I don't even know who
That's a good strategy.
I don't even know who
actually.
Josh Freeman's backup is.
I used to
Is it
know.
still Johnson?
No.
Anyway, Houston and Tennessee in the battle for people who aren't going to win the AFC
I
South.
think most people are trying to watch this game to see if Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan punch each other.
Yeah, the rematch.
Reportedly, Finnegan's going to apologize to Johnson before the game, which would diffuse
Right.
any tension there. But
Right.
who cares?
That's
I just
gonna
want to see
happen.
Johnson deck him again.
Oh, please let Johnson.
I think Houston is going to torch Tennessee in this one.
Yeah.
I think
Tennessee
they
doesn't
win
have
by
a chance.
30.
Tennessee doesn't have a chance.
Tennessee's playing terrible on offense.
Houston is just coming off like 6, 7, 8
and
heartbreaking losses in a row.
Tennessee had a fantastic performance against the Colts in a loss on offense.
But that
Collins blew up, but it was still a loss, and they've not figured out how to insert Randy Moss into their lineup. So,
Done nothing.
and this whole concept that Randy Moss draws double teams, which helps the rest of the offense, no,
That hasn't
that's
happened.
that's not what's happening.
Unless your name is Chris Johnson, that really hasn't really happened.
But I think we could have a fantastic running back battle in that matchup.
I agree.
Could see both guys go over 150 yards.
Yeah. Let's see, Atlanta and the Seahawks. Atlanta goes to Seattle, so they can stomp another NFC West team. Moving on.
This one's
no.
been called a trap game because Seattle could potentially defend their home turf against Atlanta. But I think
Bullshit, that's not
Atlanta
gonna
is
happen.
better than Seattle in every category.
Atlanta's better than every team in the NFC right now, except maybe Chicago.
So I think Atlanta wins this one in a rout, and Seattle is left shaking their heads as the division crown still sits a win
Still
or two
done.
away, and they can't get to it.
Denver and Oakland.
Ugh.
That should be a good time.
Tim Tebow time has taken
Tebow
over
time.
in Denver. So Tim
Because Kyle Orton
Tebow.
apparently has a rib injury, which is NFL coach speak for. He's been sucking recently.
I think Jason Campbell has a big day,
Yeah, probably.
and I think the Raiders win this one and keep things interesting
The Ra-
in that bizarre AFC West.
The Raiders will win this one. Moving on. The Jets go to Pittsburgh in a defensive battle.
Pittsburgh wins. The Jets are just really disappointing me as far as they're not playing up to their potential. They're
How's
not playing up to that
Tomlinson working out for
swag.
your fantasy team lately?
They've decided that they
Um,
don't want to use Tomlinson late in the season, but Sean Green doesn't get the job done. They haven't established a running game. And Mark Sanchez is playing like a 5-year-old in the Pop Warner League.
And it doesn't help that Santonio Holmes is dropping passes.
No,
So-
and so I don't think the Jets have the offensive weapons to keep up with Pittsburgh. And so I think
you're
Pittsburgh
right.
wins. I think
Pittsburgh's on a roll. Pittsburgh's is on a roll right now. Jets are on a decline, and it's in Pittsburgh, so the Steelers take it.
Yeah.
Green Bay at New England.
New England.
Oh, we can't talk more about this?
Matt
We can't
Flynn
talk-
is
we can't
going to
talk
be
more
starting
about
at
how
quarterback.
The Detroit Lions beat your team and knocked your quarterback out of the game.
Packer fans are not used to backup quarterbacks starting games, so we're going to be pretty cynical about it when it actually
It's
happens.
Well,
Tom Brady's going to probably light up the
Tom Brady's
scoreboard.
going to destroy you
The
like he
Packers
destroyed
have a
us
gr-
last week.
The Packers have a great defense, so I'm not going to sell them short.
Yeah.
But I don't see how the Packer offense operates without Rodgers at the helm.
And I don't, frankly, and speaking of someone who said the Packers were going to win the Super Bowl this year, I don't see them making the playoffs.
No,
At this
this point they are, because they're behind teams and need some help to get there in the first place. And then
And
Monday
finally,
night, the
Chicago
Frozen
and
Bowl.
Minnesota.
They're going
Bring
to
it
play this
on,
one.
baby.
They're going to play it at the University of Minnesota's outdoor football facility because the Metrodome imploded like Brett Favre's shoulder. So it's going to be like 6 degrees outside. The field's going to be made of like solid concrete. It's going to be fantastic.
And the Vikings are starting Joe Webb at quarterback.
I think this one winds up like 6-0 Bears.
Probably, because we don't need to score.
The Bears don't care about scoring. They just want wins. So
Yes,
the more wins they
exactly.
get, the closer they get to that division
Chicago's
title.
10-4. We will move closer to that division title and the playoffs. And screw all you bastards in the North. All of you.
I'm cutting you off.